Good morning, St. Paul. This is Wesley Wright, your Un-Bougie foodie. Thank you so much for joining me, as always, on a Saturday. Sorry, Sunday. We're not there yet. Not there yet. Not trying to rest the weekend at all. I hope everyone has had a great week so far. And you know what my show is about. It's about food. And so please stick around with me for the next hour while we talk about a few subjects. And really, this week is going to be more so about, I'm just going to talk about a number of recipes, actually. Just doing a little bit of research and seeing a few different types of recipes that are currently out. It's almost like seasonal, but, still, the different vegetables that are available. We are in the middle of the month of March right now, but just think, I'll say next month about this time, we will be going into farmers market time frame. So I'm really excited about that. I seem to have some type of enjoyment when it comes to farmers markets. More than a number of my friends sometimes. But that's okay, because I go there and find interesting things to cook, if you would, or just ingredients that will give us an opportunity to, brighten up your foodie day, if you would. Anyway, just want to get started with again, a few recipes that I know that I've been researching on and looking at. And that one, and actually even before I start that, I have a question for you all. So, and we always talk about food and so forth, but how many vegetables or how much vegetables and fruits are you getting on a daily basis? That's important because, even though we're always talking about food, whether it be going out to a restaurant or, cooking at home, still, there's the importance for us to think about living healthier and creating dishes, if you would, that, send us on that healthy path. And there was an article in the Twin Cities, the Pioneers Press, as a matter of fact, that was talking about, for a longer life. And this seems like, I've heard this before. We always hear this from our parents, from doctors and so forth, but it really is true. For a longer life, you have to eat way more vegetables. And this particular article, again, I'll get into these recipes in just a moment, but the particular article was saying that you really have to eat much more than you, 5, servings of, fruits and vegetables and so forth. Well, without going too much into a whole lot of detail, I will give you just a basic overview of that, which, talks about fruits and vegetables have been known to reduce cholesterol levels, blood pressure, and also boost your your immunity. Excuse me. The different types of vegetables that we intake, if you would, it reduces, it helps with antioxidants, any type of DNA damage, it reduces any of that, as well as any reduction in cancer risks. And we talk so much about the different types that help in these areas, but just to name a few: apples, pears, citrus fruits, they're a lot more helpful when it comes down to getting rid of ridding your body of antioxidants. We know about green leafy vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, so on and so forth. Those are even better for what we're referring to, but specifically the green beans, spinach, carrots, peppers. They're ones that offer a greater opportunity for us to get in fibrous um, fibrous intake. Um, the article goes on to say that consuming 200 grams of produce on a daily basis, it still helps with a reduction in heart disease as well as stroke, cancer, and cardiovascular disease. So, again, I know that on this particular show we talk so much about food and the different types of places and foods in general, but it's always important for us to take our own responsibility when it comes down to eating a healthier life. So definitely eating much more fruits and vegetables. That article, by the way, was from Thursday. And again, it was in the Pioneer Press under the health section. So if you're interested, I'm quite sure you can find that online. But so definitely thanks to the Pioneer Press for publishing that. Again, eating your fruits and vegetables. They have here 10 daily servings. That's twice as much as what we've heard, because in the past it was five servings. Yeah, they're saying 10. So again, eating a lot more of your veggies. I myself, I like Brussels sprouts. But see, everybody knows that, I think, by now. Definitely by now. Okay. So, one of the first recipes I want to talk about, and again, we're just going to kind of go down a list. Today is a recipe day, and it's going to be an interesting few weeks or a couple of months coming up, because keep in mind the type of what recipes, or just recipes in general, for the next few months, because later on in the month of April, around farmers markets, I'm actually going to have, or encourage you as listeners to the Un-Bougie Foodie, to participate in kind of a contest, especially geared around going to your local farmers market and cooking at home. I will be actually sharing recipes that I either find or come up with when I go to the farmers market, and I would like you all to do the same thing. So I would hope that you would want to get out there in those farmers markets, because there's just something about going to a farmers market and getting fresh fruits and vegetables specifically for me. I like fruits too, but I'm just saying that around the time when farmers markets really start, there are vegetables galore, and I like color. Aside from being a person that loves to talk about food, I like to take photography, or do photography, I should say. And going to the farmers market gives me an opportunity to just showcase all the different types of colors and textures that are out there. So the contest itself is not about photography. It really is about recipes. Going to the farmers market, basically showing what you were able to, I don't want to call it a haul, that you get at the farmers market. But for myself, I think of it as, gosh, this was a great, it was a haul. It was a haul. It was a great, I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not a present, because I'm excited about that, but too, I think everybody is. But this is just it's just a great we're just gonna go with haul. HAUL, by the way. Meaning that you get a whole lot of stuff, basically, and in this case, things from the farmers markets, and for very inexpensive. So it's not like you have to worry about spending a whole lot of money. Literally, you could go to the farmers market and with $20, and maybe less, depending upon what you plan to do. Because remember, farmers market is really, we have a farmers market around the cities almost every single day. However, for the one that I'm referring to, specifically because it's close to where I am or where the radio station is the St. Paul Farmers Market. And that's over there by CHS Field. I mean, literally, you could take the Green Line and go all the way as though you were going to Union Depot and just walk maybe like another 100 feet or so, maybe 200 feet, and end up at the farmer's market. And the plethora of different fruits and vegetables and crafts and artisan type of meats, cheeses. Oh my gosh, cheeses. There is always poultry, dairy products, cheese, eggs. I haven't seen butter, but poultry products too, meats. So your beef and pork, just all. So you can go there with $20 or less and make a really nice meal, amazing meal, as a matter of fact. And that's for a family, that's not just like a single individual. So again, keep that in mind. I'm jumping around a little bit because I was thinking about this on the way here to the station. So just in case, I wanted to make sure I get that out, because that will be something that I should be showcasing. And that comes along with, it's not just, yes, it's getting, community involved and wanting them to get out to farmers market, not only locally, not just specifically to St. Paul, but in your local area, because even along, as I mentioned, the Green Line, you could see a farmer's market along University, especially. I think is it Dale? It's Dale. There is a kind of among community farmers market that are selling Asian cuisine or Asian vegetables and all different types of vegetables. Not, I shouldn't just call it just Asian vegetables, but some specifically like Thai eggplant. That's not often seen in your standard grocery store. It's in your Asian markets, or at least at the Asian farmers markets. So I mention all of that because it is something that I'm encouraging you to get involved in. But it will be really a contest. That contest is then going to invite you, whoever is actually chosen, with more details on what actually is going to be involved. But that's going to give you an opportunity to have a sit down, have a dinner or lunch with myself and maybe a few other friends of the Un-Bougie foodie, and share what you've made. And then we will be able to share, a meal with you as the winner or winners, because there'll be different categories and so forth. So again, start thinking about the different types of recipes that you would like to come up with, or that you think you could come up with based on the items that you pick up at the farmers market. Keep in mind that the farmers market, you could kind of I know I could kind of get in trouble, because I'll start picking up things and wanting to do a whole lot. Okay, so enough about that. I will say that if you want to find out more about that, I will definitely have more information on my Facebook page for the Un-Bougie foodie. But again, you could also reach out to me at any of the social media outlets that is out there. Instagram, which is _Un-Bougie foodie. There is Twitter, which is at Un-Bougie foodie. And then finally, if you'd like to, again, give a suggestion, you could do that on Facebook too. But if you'd like to give a suggestion or maybe share a recipe or whatnot, feel free to leave that in an email, or send that in an email. And I'll make sure to give you a shout out on the air so that you're sharing it with others, possibly, if you'd like. And yeah, that is at theunbougiefoodie@gmail.com. So again, theunbougiefoodie@gmail.com. let's get into a recipe. Recipe time. So, okay, this first one, it's a salad. So, you see that transition of talking about vegetables and so on, and how we need to eat more fruits and vegetables. Yeah, I have to start off with a salad. I really do. And this is one of the I like. I enjoy having cabbage, red cabbage specifically. I find ways to, I guess, if you would, chop it or shave it. I like the cabbage shaved, not so much to the level of coleslaw, but it's cut very thin or chopped or whatnot. But this is called a winter chop salad. And again, this is found, these are, again, recipes that I was just researching and trying to find information on, what to share with the community. But, I thought this one was interesting because, it's things that, you could go into your local grocery store and not have to worry about seriously asking a whole lot about where's this item, where's that item. You could find this stuff quite easily. Anyway, again, the winter chop salad, it makes about 4 to 6 servings. This was once again from out of the Star Tribune. Well, this is from out of the Star Tribune. Yeah, can you tell I do my research throughout the week? So yeah. Oh wow, I just saw something on there. Anyway, the winter chop salad. It starts with 3 to 4 carrots, scrubbed and diced. I hope everybody likes to clean their carrots and not just, I mean, aside from definitely peeling them or whatnot, but, always have to wash those root vegetables. So please make sure you're scrubbing those, and then you want to dice them. Next is 2 cups of chopped red cabbage. Yes. And then 1 cup of chopped radishes. And they're saying watermelon radishes. Now, and that's interesting to me because I thought there was really only one type of radish. So I would like to find out a little bit more information on that. But you can use a standard radish, small. They come in small bundles. Normally about 5 or 6 radishes. It tastes so good with a taco. The next is a half cup of sweet onions chopped. So Vidalia's is really good. Yellow onions, yeah, sweet onion. And then a honey mustard vinaigrette or chili lime vinaigrette. And there are recipes that are available for those as well. So we could talk about that. I'll mention those in just a moment. If you'd like to use that, or you could use another light a light drizzle vinaigrette or simple vinaigrette of your own. But the last ingredients, if you would, is a salt and freshly ground pepper, and you're going to do that to taste. And again, that's to taste. I remember someone had a conversation about that, about taste, because someone's taste may be different than others. So, do it for what how your family or how you personally like the taste, and not, we can't put too much. I need a specific type of measurement for the salt and for the pepper. Do it to taste. If you like a more fresh ground pepper than salt, or a little bit more of that savory flavor, do the reverse. A little bit more salt, a little less black pepper, or even mixture of both. But again, leave it up to your taste. So the directions on that is, in a large bowl, you want to toss together the carrots, the cabbage, the radishes, and then the onions. And then you want to toss about 1/2 to 3/4 cup of the vinaigrette, so that you're able to coat the vegetables. And again, season to taste with the salt and pepper. And The vinaigrettes, they're actually very simple. Um, yeah, it doesn't have to be difficult at all. So keep in mind that you could use vinaigrettes for well, definitely for salads. I've seen some friends or heard some friends use a vinaigrette. They add a little bit more spices, um, and maybe a bit more tanginess and mustard as a. Oh my goodness, my words are escaping me this morning. As a marinade for for a chicken or for some type of beef that they're doing, more so for chicken. But here is one of the vinaigrettes that we were talking about, the honey mustard vinaigrette. This one, it will be 1/4 cup white wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons, tablespoons. TBSP is tablespoons. Sometimes you will see that as a capital T. Yeah. I just happened to look down and I missed that B in the middle. It's tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of chopped shallots. 2 tablespoons of coarse Dijon mustard. 1/4 cup of honey. 2/3 cup of walnuts or vegetable oil. I'd say vegetable oil. And then, that famous last phrase of salt and freshly ground pepper to taste. So you're going to put all of those ingredients in a blender, the vinaigrette, the shallots, mustard, and then honey. All that goes into a blender, and then you're going to process that until the shallots are finely chopped. Then you're going to slowly add in the oil in a steady stream. And then just season to taste. And there you have the honey mustard vinaigrette. The next one is the chili lime vinaigrette. Chili lime vinaigrette. Again, these are very simple vinaigrettes that you could grab any of these ingredients and make this at home. And then you could save it. So those of you that like to either do canning or you just have your own small little vinaigrette bottle that probably gotten from Bed Bath and Beyond or IKEA or something. Make some or make, if you would, an amount, and then save the rest of it. For the chili lime vinaigrette, again, very simple. I'm looking at the ingredients again, and it's like I could do something like this at home right now. So it is a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, 1/4 cup of fresh lime juice, 2 tablespoons of honey or agave syrup. I know a lot of times, sometimes vinaigrettes can be either overly sweet, and so for a healthier option, you can definitely use agave syrup. Agave is from the agave plant. It's just concentrated down and makes it's still a sweet, or adds that a sweetness to, in this case, to your vinaigrette. It could be used in so many other different things. People use it in tea, coffee. Here we're talking about the vinaigrette. So again, either honey or tea, and that's the same amount. So 2 tablespoons for that honey, or the agave syrup. And the agave syrup can be found in your local grocery store. So never have to worry about, I've got to go to a specialty store. Nope, don't worry about that. Not to worry. Next is two garlic cloves chopped. And I hope everybody knows how to get their garlic cloves and chop them and use the flat portion of their knife. Hope you're doing that safely. We're always talking about safety here on Un-Bougie Foodie or food, but then, people using their knife skills. Want them to be safe. Need them to be able to taste their food and enjoy it and not have to worry about, I've got to go to an emergency. Sorry. So, okay. The next ingredient is a 1/2 teaspoon. It's the little t, people. Little TSP. Teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes, um, and our famous phrase of the day, or more to taste. So if you'd like a little bit more heat, you could add, a bit more than the half teaspoon of red pepper flakes. But again, do it to taste. Next is a quarter teaspoon of cumin. I love the smell of cumin, especially when we're doing salsa. And then lastly is the salt and pepper to taste. Yes, that's the phrase of the day. Salt and pepper to taste. Let's remember that. So this one you don't even need to put it in a blender. You could put it in a glass jar with a lid, and you could shake the oil, the lime juice, and the agave, the garlic, the red pepper flakes, and the cumin, and just again shake that jar or whatever container that you are actually using to mix this in. Again, no need for a blender, so you can definitely see how simple this is. As long as you have, and that really is a simple vinaigrette, one that you probably have a number of these items right now in your pantry, in your cupboard. Not even have to go to the grocery store really to go get any of them. But again, shaking that and just make sure that it's fully incorporated. And then what's the phrase of the day, people? Or the phrase of the hour? Season with salt and pepper to taste. In both of those instances, you are going to get literally a cup of vinaigrette, and you don't need a lot. I mean, they refer to that as being a generous portion. In both of those instances of making that vinaigrette, with the chili lime, we know that we've added those red pepper flakes, so it describes it as being a tangy and hot vinaigrette. It's delicious on chicken, as well as on shrimp. They also have another dish that they've mentioned that it goes very well with, which is over black beans and rice. I haven't tried that. The grilled chicken and the shrimp, yes. That vinaigrette goes very, very well with. So, yeah. I'll make these available on the Un-Bougie foodie page. And, again, if you take a recipe and make it your own, put your own spin on it. And you'll want to share or talk about it, feel free to do so. You could always leave it on the Un-Bougie foodie page, and we're more than happy to share that with any that are listening. If I appreciate everyone that is listening, all of my listeners from my family in Los Angeles, but also locally. Thank you all so much for tuning in to WEQI 104.7, the voice of the East Side. I am here every Saturday at 10 a.m. Giving different food options, whether it be restaurants or recipes like we're doing today. Today's a recipe day, just as a little added note, so everyone's wondering, is he going to talk about a restaurant today? Probably not. It will be a recipe day. The Un-Bougie foodie at times needs to concentrate on cooking at home and making things at home too. It can't always be about going out to a restaurant. And again, really, as I've always said, that's what this show is about. Is sharing the different types of foods that we either make or restaurants that we go to or whatnot. Just so you know. Here is this one. There's another recipe that I want to share. This one is an empanada recipe, which, gosh, reminds me of something that I really want to share with you all. As you know, we already talked about farmers markets are going to be really coming back up or booming back at the end of April. So I'm patiently waiting, and I know that others are, waiting for just the opportunity to get out and have their shopping bags or their carts or whatever and do some shopping. But there's going to be the food truck. The food truck, not really Battle of the Food Trucks. It's just a food truck fest, basically, in Uptown. And I believe that is in June. I'm going to have to find that out. That was a point that I was making with reference to that. Because they're, again, this is also, this month and next month are the months where food trucks are coming out. I mean, you will see them again out in force. And the mention of the empanadas, the next recipe that I'm going to talk about, there is a food truck by the name of Del Sur that does wonderful empanadas. And I've talked about them in the past. It was specifically for Battle of the Food Trucks. I'm hoping that we're going to do another Battle of the Food Trucks, maybe at Maplewood Mall. Once again, I think there's talk of it. But there are, they do empanadas. So if you see them around, make sure you jump on their truck and grab an empanada or ask them to make an empanada for you. Anyway, here, the empanadas, this one, these are small, but they make, you could make them either big or small if you would, but they're with vegetable, cheese fillings, but you could make them, with other things as well. You could make it with meat or cheese, chicken, that's meat, meaning I'm saying beef or chicken or pork or, anything that's could fit in a pastry, really. It's not gonna fall out. So this one is a little bit of a process because, and we're gonna take our time and talk about this just a little bit. And I'm just gonna give you the highlights, maybe the ingredients, and then post this for you to see the full recipes. This is a recipe that I've been holding on to because I wanted to share it and have not had an opportunity to, but it's a special time to make small items, if you would, and share with friends. So empanadas with vegetable cheese filling, you can make 12 or 24. And if you want to find, again, more information on this, you can definitely check out the Un-Bougie Foodie Facebook page, or the creator of this recipe, Kim Ode. She has a blog, which is The Walks of Life, which is, and I'll spell that because it's very unique and catchy, the way that the website is, and it's THE The Walks, WOKS, like a wok that you would do stir fry in, of life. So WOKSOFLIFE.com. So she has a recipe on there as well, but so props to her for creating this. I just wanted to share it. Again, this is from the Star Tribune. If you've missed it, definitely visit that her blog. She has a number of different recipes that are available, but this one caught my attention, and again, I wanted to share it with you. It's a bit of a process, like I said. The dough itself, and you could probably get some dough probably already pre-made, but how much fun is that? You want to make the dough yourself and know that, okay, I could save some of this and put it in the refrigerator, save it, wrap it up, whatnot. Anyway, the dough itself is 2 1/4 cups of flour, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, 1 stick, which is 8 tablespoons of cold unsalted butter. That's cut into 1/2 inch cubes. So I'll repeat that just in case. So it's 1 stick of butter, which is 8 tablespoons, but it's unsalted butter, and it's cold, and it's also cut into 1/2 inch cubes. So keep that in mind. 1 egg, 1/3 a cup of ice water, plus 1 tablespoon, which that's very interesting because sometimes, if you need to actually add a little bit more moisture to the dough, that extra water or liquid is helpful. Next is 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. So with the dough, you're gonna actually take a large bowl. You're gonna whisk all of those ingredients together. The flour and the 1 and 1/2 teaspoons of salt, and then you're gonna add the butter. You're gonna cut in with a pastry cutter. Pastry cutter, it's more of, it almost looks just like a handle with wires that kind of curve from one end of the handle to the other. And that's all it really is. But if you don't have one of those, not trying to be all extra fancy, you can use your fingers, and just get that mixture in there so that until it starts to look like coarse crumbles, or just crumbs. Then in a small bowl, you're going to mix. This is separate from the actual big bowl. You're going to mix the 1 egg, the 1/3 cup of ice water, and vinegar. You're going to add that to the flour mixture, and then you're going to stir with a fork until it. I like the way they describe it. A shaggy mess, or shaggy mass, not mess, mass. And then you're going to add the extra ice water if it's still, and that's what I was talking about. If it still had some flour that perhaps was unmixed, and you just needed to add, make sure to get that mixture going in there as well. Always have that extra. You're going to knead that gently in a bowl. You're not going to beat that. You're not going to beat the dough or anything. You're just going to knead it a few times, just so that you can bring the dough together. And then you're going to wrap the dough in plastic wrap and then refrigerate it, while you do the next step. And the interesting thing about this, or the best part, if you would, you can make the dough a day ahead of time. And then when you're ready to actually do your empanadas, then just concentrate on your actual filling. So now we're going to talk about the filling a little bit. So the filling: 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 sweet potato, which is finely diced in. And again, keep in mind that we're talking about a vegetable cheese filling. So you can substitute, a number of these ingredients, like the sweet potato. If you want to use potato, but if you want to use your meat, some type of meat, you're going to want to have the meats already cooked and chopped very small so that it would fit into the empanada along with the other ingredients. But I'll share that or talk about that when I post it on the Un-Bougie foodie page. So again, that 1 sweet potato, or 8-ounce sweet potato, finely diced into 1/4 inch cubes. So remember, we did that with the butter. We did a 1/2 inch for cubing. For the sweet potato, we're going to do a 1/4 inch. So those are the smaller cubes, not as big as, actually even smaller than the tip of your finger. Next is a 1/2 cup of finely diced red bell pepper, 1 and 1/2 cup of sweet corn kernels, whether it be fresh or frozen. Make this kind of easy. 2 green onions chopped, 2 to 3 tablespoons of jalapeno peppers that are finely chopped. And what's our favorite phrase of the day, or of the hour, I should say? Salt and pepper to taste. The next is, and again, these are all just ingredients that we're kind of putting together and making sure that you know what's going to go in the filling. 7 ounces of mild feta cheese. And This is just recipes are just a foundation. They're simply a foundation for you to start off with. You are not required to stick to. I mean, basically, yes, you should stick to them unless you're trying to do a different type of meat or some type of ingredients. And maybe I just said that wrong. Recipes are a foundation. They definitely are a foundation. If you would like to do something or make it more of your own, the general ingredients and directions, you're going to follow those. But you can substitute, something. Just make sure that you're checking, if it's liquid or if it needs to be, if this is in the case of here we're doing vegetables and you want to add meat, you want to make sure that that meat is cooked either a certain type of way or it's small enough, whatever the case is. Again, keep in mind recipes are foundations. Definitely you have that, you could follow it fully and get the exact same output or outcome, if you would, and enjoy a fabulous meal. If you want to change it up a little bit, you could still get that fabulous meal, but hey, you've made it yours by adding your own an additional ingredient, or maybe swapped out an ingredient that you feel, hey, I want more of a savory dish tonight rather than just something that is more vegetable. So next that you're going to be adding is 4 ounces of cream cheese. So 4 ounces is, the 8 ounce is when you're going to the grocery store is that full little block, or even the smaller tub. That's 8 ounce. If you half that or cut that in half or portion that in half, if you would, that's your 4 ounces. Next is 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro or parsley, 1 egg separated, and that's for sealing the dough, and of course to use as a glaze, and then a tablespoon of milk. So you've already done your dough. That was, let's just say, yesterday. You made your filling, or you've gotten all your ingredients for the filling, and after you've gotten all of that together, really it's almost like an assembly line, because here you're the filling, there's not a lot of work that needs to actually go into it, or preparation. The filling, you're just going to simply heat a tablespoon of butter and olive oil in a skillet over medium heat. You're going to then add the sweet potatoes and saute them until they get golden. You're going to add the bell pepper and then the corn. Cook those all until they're tender, normally about 5 minutes. And then you're going to turn off the heat. You're going to put in the green onions as well as the jalapeno peppers. You could probably put in, if you want it a little bit more spicy, you could certainly add, chopped really fine habanero or scotch bonnet. Or if you want it really, really spicy, add in some Thai chili. But then you're going to season all of that to taste. The phrase of the hour. You're then going to have it cool for a few minutes, because when you're trying, there's no way that you're going to be able to prepare your dough and put it out and then still have this hot the hot filling being placed in the dough. The dough is already going to start to react to the heat from the filling, and you don't want that. So you really want to cool off the ingredients first, and it says that the mixture could be warm but not piping hot. And then the last thing that you want to add to the mixture, as you can tell, we hadn't added any cheeses. You're going to mix all of those ingredients that you've already cooked. You're going to mix in the feta cheese and the cream cheese, and then add cilantro, and then stir, in the vegetable mixture really well, and then finally season to taste. And then, again, this is where the assembly line basically comes into play, because, you're going to preheat your oven. You're going to put it on parchment paper, because you don't want your empanadas to be sticking to a pan. Make sure that you're using parchment, or if the fabulousness of silicone, what are these? They're like flat uh, gosh, I forgot, they're like inserts or something that you could actually use on a cookie sheet. Yeah, lay that down. Make sure that you're preparing that. And it says on 2 baking sheets. So, you're going to be making quite a bit. He says you can make 12 large or 24 snack-sized empanadas. And, again, just follow the instructions of, the preparation. Separate an egg into a small bowl, and you're going to use that, as we mentioned. It's going to be for a sealing agent, if you would, for the dough, and it's going to also act as a glaze over the top, because you want that nice golden aesthetic. But it has a wonderful flavor as well, even though it's just, they refer to it as egg wash that you're brushing over the empanada. It causes the dough itself to have that golden brown color and a nice crisp when you bite into it. That's what you want from an empanada. Anyway, you're gonna whisk the egg whites then whisk in the egg, and milk with a fork until it's really smooth. And again, that's what you're going to be using to brush onto the brush onto the empanada, for that golden crust. If you're doing large empanadas, you want to cut the dough into 12 equal pieces. Keep in mind, you don't want to leave your dough out. You want to cover them each time, and then you're going to lightly flour a surface, roll out each piece about 6 inches. Think of it maybe like a pie pan. Well, pie pan might be a little bit too much, but I mean, because I think that's normally what, an 8-inch or a 9-inch pie pan. So I mean, you could use that kind of almost as a guide. There are, and I'm just going to say that there are presses at, your local, Mexican market. I refer to them as mercados. You could go to a mercado and just ask. You could probably find it, but ask them for either a corn press or a tortilla press. I have one at home. We're going to have to probably talk about making empanadas. So take off the EM from off of what we're talking about right now. Empanadas, and Belizeans do panades. So that's another time. But that's what I use my press for. So going into your local mercado and asking them for a corn press or a flour press, yeah, they'll be able to help you with that. And that is a 6-inch. That's about 6 inches. They do have them larger, but the standard one is about 6 inches. So that's perfect. Then you're just going to use 3 tablespoons of filling in the center of the dough, and either with with a brush or maybe your finger, you want to paint the outside of the circle with egg white. And then you're just simply going to fold the dough over as though you were folding. You have a circle. You're just simply going to fold it over the filling and just press down the ends of the empanada. You could either use your finger. It's probably better if you use maybe a fork. That's probably the best way, because you know that you're going to actually get that seal. But you're not going to press too hard either. You're not going to press too hard if you're going to use a fork or if you're going to use your finger. You just want to get it so that it kind of seals it. And from that, you're then just going to use the egg wash and brush it over, and then you're going to bake it for 30 minutes. We talked about the process and everything, and it seems like it's a long process, but it's a recipe that it can be used repetitively in so many different with different ingredients. Here again, this is a vegetable cheese, but you can seriously substitute out this for, I'll say, carnitas, beef, or chicken. So don't be surprised if You might find, because there are so many different types of empanadas out there. This is just one because it's more seasonal. As the summer comes along, you could definitely be a bit more on the savory side, even more so. And again, those are the large ones that we talked about. If you want to do the small ones, again, you're just going to have to cut them in. Rather than cutting them into 12 pieces, you're going to cut them into 24 pieces. Smaller size on the circle, maybe about 4 inches is probably what you're going to need for a small. And just, again, follow the exact same instructions that we talked about. All of this information is going to be available on the Un-Bougie Foodie page under notes. But again, also visit thewalksoflife.com, the actual creator of the recipe, which I'm quite sure that there are others that do have recipes available for empanadas. This one just seems like it's very easy, and you never know. It could be something that you could do with your family for an evening or over the weekend or whatnot. And it so gives you instructions. It gives you pictures that you could look at just to make sure that you're doing it correctly. And it's great. And you could freeze them. You could freeze them, and then you just have to put them on a parchment, just to make sure that they keep separate and they don't really stick together. You could keep them up for 3 months, and then you could just bake it right from the freezer into the oven. Normally it would be about 10 to 15 more minutes more than the baking time frame that we said, which was 30 minutes. So if you freeze them, then you could just add an additional 10 minutes if you would, if it went right from the freezer to the oven. So those are the recipes. I mean, there are 2, but I think they're hearty enough. I mean, one was a salad, which we're trying to eat more healthier and get more greens and vegetables and fruits, whatever, in our life, more intake. But then, of course, there is the other, which is the empanadas. So I hope everyone stuck around to hear about the recipe for the empanadas. So yeah, we're nearing the end of the hour, but I wanted to mention that the last couple of weeks, we have here within Minnesota, we have had the opportunity to share, I suppose if you want to say, award-winning news. The James Beard Award is announced to chefs, or whether it be chefs or restaurants that are serving wonderful or high quality foods. And we've had a number of different chefs that have been either semi-finalists. So I want to give a shout out to Jorge Guzman from Surly Brewing Company, Stephen Brown from Tilia. There's Robert Gherkin, Mike Brown, and James Winberg from Travail Kitchen. Marvel Bar. They're known specifically for their cocktails, if you would, or mixology. Diane Yang of Spoon and Stable. So, true recognition goes out to these chefs. As I talked about in the past, Minnesota coming down to Minneapolis, and even directly within our neighborhood, St. Paul, East St. Paul, we're really getting the recognition needed within the state, because think of all the different events, as well as the celebrity network type of food individuals that are coming here to find out about restaurants on either the east side, or Minneapolis. I really honestly believe that the side of East Side St. Paul is going to be a place where people are going to want to come and travel to from, and not even travel. I'll make it seem like it's some distance away. Literally, we're about 15-20 minutes from, downtown Minneapolis to the east side of St. Paul. The food over here on the east side of St. Paul, people, you have to really experience it and realize that, just because we're outside of the main city that you hear about so much, we love Minneapolis. We love, East St. Paul has some wonderful restaurants that you need to be going to as well. Again, the upcoming weeks and months, if you would, will be an exciting time, because not only will it give me the opportunity to visit more places, because it's been cold over here. It's hard to get out and do things when it's cold. But also new restaurants that are coming up, restaurants that are considering coming over into the east side of St. Paul. Again, be encouraged and know that, east side St. Paul, just the east side, is getting the recognition. Might be a little slow, whatever, but that's what we're here for. We are here to bring that to your attention and to share with you new places that you could visit, you could take your family to in your local area. So, as we end the show, I want to again thank you all so much for listening. I truly appreciate you taking the time to just kind of like relax a little bit. I know it's early in the morning. Maybe you're having coffee, just about to go get some type of brunch, but you're listening on the radio, or if you're listening on, hearing the show, streaming it live over the TuneIn app. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. And thank you so much for supporting WEQY as your community radio station. As always, as I end my show, I want to encourage you never to let anyone tell you what type of foodie to be, because really, it is all about the food. Until next time, peace, folks.